Have you ever wondered how you could be wired for resilience? Or maybe you are not doing well in an area of your life and you need to start over. And you're looking, how can I start over? How can I change things? How can I become my better self? Well, today I have that conversation for you. Today we're going to talk about rewiring for resilience. And I have an amazing guest here who will show you how he has rewired for resilience. And we're going to talk about some of the things that will help you to rewire for resilience. Welcome here. My name is Joyce Odidison, today host of the Resilience Catalyst Show, and I am so excited that you're here with us. What we do on this show is we make resilience simple. We remove the barrier to you being resilient in the 9 dimensions of your life. So you're able to look at those areas of your lives without a filter and be able to say, here is where I want to develop, and here's where I want to grow, and here's what's stopping me from being my best self. So join me now as I invite Steve, our guest today, to talk about his story and how he rewired for resilience. Now, a little bit about Steve. Steve actually has a very interesting story, a very interesting personality. I mean, the guy swims oceans. Like, really? You got to hear this for yourself. Steve, welcome to Resilience Catalyst Show. How are you?
I'm fantastic. It is so good to be here. And yeah, I do swim oceans. Absolutely.
Steve, tell us a bit about yourself and how you come to start swimming oceans and having this amazing ministry and helping other people who are themselves struggling, trying to build their life and rewiring for resilience.
Yeah. So a little bit about me. I was born and raised in Scotland, Edinburgh, Scotland, and grew up in the United States in summers and Christmases. Eventually came over here to swim for Clemson University and dropped off the swim team freshman year and didn't swim again until about 7, maybe 8 years ago. And that was I really love swimming, but lost the love for it at college and started making choices where I was trying to fit in with everybody else and do what everybody else was doing instead of realizing that God created me for my purpose and
Mm,
my story that He was living through me. So yeah, I fell into this. Like when I say I fell into this open water channel swimming, it was not premeditated. It was not planned. It was like I went through one door and went a little further and then a little further and found myself in like, hey, I just did a 30-mile swim and that's longer than the English Channel. And it was during COVID. And I was like, well, maybe I should sign off the English Channel.
hmm
So I signed off this English Channel, but it was 2.5 years later. I mean, you just,
Amazing.
so now you jump forward and you're like, all of a sudden I'm going to Spain next week to go swim Gibraltar, Strait of Gibraltar from Europe to Africa, the number 6 on the Ocean 7 tour. And then I'll finish with Catalina Island to Los Angeles in July, number 7 on the Ocean 7. And it's been an amazing journey. But my rock bottom moment, I was an addict. I was in the hospitality industry, functioning addict for years. And I always remember a good friend of Kevin Costner's who had cooked for was Tim and Tim Hochter. And Tim sat me down one year that I was cooking for them. He said, Steve, you'll do anything for anyone that can help you. And I was like, yeah, that makes total sense. Of course I do. And then it wasn't until after I got cleaned up, I realized, no, that's not a good thing. I need to be doing things for people who can't help me. So there's a whole redemption process that moved into a recovery process that then moved into the resilience process. But that's just a little overview of
Mm.
how I got to where I am today.
Wow. Folks, Steve has been a recovery. He's been an addict. He's moved from addiction to recovery and resilience, and now he's helping other men build resilience. So Steve, tell us a little bit about how that started. You have this ministry now. You speak around the world. You do those long endurance swimming. That must take a lot of energy, but we'll delve a little bit into that as to how you prepare and what keeps the fire burning. And there's just so much to your story that I love, because it shows that it doesn't matter where you are, you can rewire for resilience. And there are many people right now in our workplaces who are functional addicts. It is not uncommon. We have prescription drugs. We have the highest rate of professionals on some form of substance use
Sure.
right in our society. We've
Yeah.
never had this much. So speak to those individuals, because they think that because they get up and go to work every day, because their spouse is still hanging around, even if it's a toxic environment, that they're doing okay. Talk to them about what actually moved you into saying, you know what, this is no way to live.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So my identity was all wrapped up in so I didn't know at the time, but I had a SPRF model: spiritual, physical, relational, financial. And my identity was all wrapped up in achievements. Being a chef, getting flown around America to cook for celebrities and all this stuff. And it looks really good. And opening a restaurant, until the economy crashed and my identity crashed with it, because I hadn't focused on I hadn't made the person who could handle the business. And I've seen that so often. I mean, I see get people going into jobs, I see business owners who create the business and their whole identity is wrapped up in that, but they can't figure out why there's something missing on the inside, why they're not connecting with their spouse, why they're short with their children all the time,
Mm-hmm.
why they're like, I'm busy, I'm busy, I'm busy, I'm busy.
Mm-hmm.
I've got to be grinding, grinding, grinding until the house of cards just comes down, and
Yeah.
you
Mhm.
talk, you're saying my favorite language, prescription drugs. Let me tell you, legal drug dealers are on every corner,
Every corner. Mm-hmm.
and legal drug dealers are in every restaurant,
Mm-hmm.
fast food. I mean, it is how we got convinced of what is acceptable to eat and put in and feed our bodies, our minds, and our souls with nowadays is unbelievable over the last 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
The ingredients list alone
Mm-hmm.
is enough to like send children off the deep end. So back up to I hit rock bottom. And my rock bottom, I had a lady once tell me this. She goes, the beauty of rock bottom is that's where you start. That's where God's the rock, and you start to build a new foundation. And when you build a new foundation on solid rock, right? It's not a foundation on sand. So that was really a pivotal kind of mental shift there. But I started working on my spiritual, like, why am I here? Why did God create me? Why have I done all these things? I did a lot of good things, but I had a propensity to like only take care of me. So who am I as a creation? Who am I as a husband, even though I'd gone through a divorce at that point? Who am I as a father? Who am I as a friend? Who am I as a business person? What are all these things? So I really started leaning into that spiritual pillar.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, after 20 years of working in the restaurant industry, smoking and drinking and doing drugs and prescription drugs and all this, I was like, wow, I better take care of the physical. And I
Mm-hmm.
got around some guys who I was working with, um, and they were professional bodybuilders, and they got me in the gym, got me working out, and I would go out and I would surf in Lake Michigan, and I would swim, and just when I say swim, like paddle around and swim, not swim, but started working on my health. What am I drinking water every day? Am I taking vitamins? Am I, what am I eating? Like, am I just shoving my face full of Taco Bell or what? Like, what am I eating? So I worked on those two pillars, and then I was like, okay, so now I feel like I'm starting to create a person that can handle relationships. So, what do relationships look like when I'm not constantly out for myself? And that was really hard. That was a hard switch. And it's still a hard switch because I don't know about you. I could be the only person on this podcast today that will admit I'm a selfish person. Okay.
You're not the only one. It's human nature. Our brain is designed to protect us and give us the best of
Right.
everything, right?
So,
Yes.
so I started like working on this, like, how do I message people and tell them I'm just praying for them or caring for them, and I don't need anything in return. And those kind of things started driving who I was inside of work. That whole system kind of got put together, and it was so instrumental in like creating the man who I am today to handle the pressures that I'm handling today. People say, "Oh, you swam from England to France." You know, yeah, I've swum from Northern Ireland to Scotland too, and that was harder than England to France because that was cold, cold water for 12 hours. But there's nothing, and this is what I'll tell people who are stuck today. Think about the hardest thing you've gone through in life. The very, very hardest thing. The hardest thing I ever went through in life was dropping my kids off after visitation. I dropped one of my daughters at school, university, last a couple of weeks ago, took her back to school, and I was leaving her at school, and the flashbacks just hit me. I just started crying, and she's like, "Dad, are you okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine. I just love you so much." And it just brought back a lot of memories of every time I dropped you off after visitation. And she goes, "Well, it's okay because I love you, and I'm going to see you again." I'm like, "I know." But that was the hardest thing I went through, was dropping kids off after visitation. But I made it through that, and I have a relationship with them, and I've still got air in my lungs,
Mm-hmm.
and I've still got the ability to help other people. So you start to go, well, if I can do that, then I can do X, Y, and Z.
That
If I
is
can
so
do this,
beautiful.
if I can do this hardest thing that I've been through, and I'm
Yeah.
still sitting here,
Yeah.
then you know what? I can go out and I can swim a channel for someone else, or I can start a new business, or I can get on a podcast and share the fact that I'm a selfish human being. you know, and
Something you said that really resonated with me. You talked about starting to work in one dimension. And I
mm,
love that because that's how we work here at IWS as a conflict analyst. People were coming all wrapped up in conflict. And then I found out that some of them were drug addicts, some of them were, and I mean functional addicts, right? They were not falling down at work. They may have a dose here and there, but they were right. But they needed something to keep them going. They were struggling in 9 dimensions of their life. So our model is more comprehensive. We do 9. We do the spiritual pillar. It is such an important pillar, and most people miss it. This is where your purpose is, your values, your vision, or your integrity, your
I
balance.
was amazed.
This is what keeps the house floating, right? This is the foundation. We call it the resilience anchors. If you don't have purpose and vision and belief and courage, like hello, the battle is over. If you don't have hope, that's where hope and faith is. So we really talk about building that resilience anchor, and then start building on the other pillars. You build your physical pillar, right? And you can do them in unison. It doesn't mean you have to do one, but and then we work on the emotional, then we work on the occupational, because that's where I started seeing people come in. And so most people are stuck because they think they have to do everything one time. I love that your story. You said, hey, I just started going to the gym with some guys, right? That led you back to your first love of swimming, where you could now start and be doing this amazing work, helping other men who are now where you were before, or even further back, to bring them. Tell us a little bit about that. I love that story.
The working with other men.
Your program, yes.
Yeah, so we have daily habits for every day, morning of the week: spiritual, physical, relational, financial habits,
Mm-hmm.
and you keep points. There's 12 points every morning. There's also points for going to church. There's points for serving someone else. There's points for uh, right, if you're married, having a date night with your spouse, these kind of things. But it builds up like a life where you're
Mm-hmm.
you're moving and doing things, and you can get metrics, and you can be like, Oh, I really didn't. I haven't journaled in like 4 days. Why have I not journaled? Okay, well, I need to journal. So you start tracking, and what you track, what you measure, you can mark, right?
Exactly. You
But
can only
if you
fix what
can't,
you measure. People don't realize that. It's very, very easy because most people, I mean, I was a coach before I created the model and the program because a simple task like journaling, you go back and you reflect. This is where, this is what I did. This is how I felt when I did this. Like, why am I not doing it now? Let me go back. I want to feel that way again, right? So we don't need to go outside ourselves to get some kind of substance to keep us going. We need to look at what's working well. And sometimes it's hard to remember all the time. And I love that piece.
and the substance is just trying to fill a hole.
Of
And
course.
I always say, like, okay, so instead of trying to quit something, start something.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So a new habit. So like, I love January 1st. I love the enthusiasm of everyone. I love the motivation, and I'm not the guy who's ever going to prove. I'm like, let's go, let's go, let's go.
Hmm.
But I'm also the guy who's like around once the motivation wears off and is like, yeah, this is boring. This is not easy. I've been getting up at 4:30 every morning for about, I don't know, 9 years now. And I'm 52 this year. I'd like to sleep in. Last year I went through a spell where for 3 months, every morning was a mental battle getting out of bed. I remember talking to my friends. I was like, I am just like having to fight myself to get up.
Hmm.
But I did it. And I did
You
it.
did.
So
Every day is one more. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, and I always say this. I always say, start with the smallest thing you can start with. So instead of saying I'm going to lose 30 pounds this month, which is really out of your control, say I'm going to have a healthy lifestyle this month. So that means I'm going to start going to the gym. Don't go for an hour and beat yourself up. Just go to the gym, check in, walk around, walk for 5 minutes, do something, leave. But do it at the same time every day. And then add 5 minutes the next week. Add another 5 minutes, add another 5 minutes, add another. And you start to, just like a toddler learns how to roll over, pull themselves up. We've got a couple grandchildren right now who are doing the orangutan, and it's like really cute. Um, but you start to just get momentum, and momentum is better than motivation.
Yes.
Momentum will take you further and further and further until you've gone so far down the rabbit hole. You're like, how do I have a documentary on Amazon? How do I have a book? I'm about to go swim my sixth Ocean Seven? How do I have four grandchildren and still do all these things with six children, blended family? Like, how? I was an addict 15 years ago. I was
Hmm.
done. And it was just momentum, baby steps, baby steps, baby steps. Um,
Yes.
and
I
it's
love
exciting
it.
watching
I love
people
it.
do it.
So
The,
tell
the
us
guys
a
in our
little bit.
let me just say one thing. The guys in our mentorship homes, they're all like number one or number two at work right now because we've been working on relationships for the last year.
It's exciting.
I know,
Tell
I
me
know it's
what the
cool.
name, tell our audience what the name of the program is, the mentorship program, how many
Oh, sure.
houses you have, what your goal is. I think it's really interesting story for people to see how you have rewired for resilience, but also now you are helping others rewire and be great at work. That is just
hmm
a beautiful story. Tell us a little bit more.
So we have Rising Tides Mentorship Ministry. We started with one home just over 2 years ago. We did a second home that I learned very, very quickly of what not to do. That home imploded, and we had guys relapse. So then I put a board together and we started board training and really designing
Mhm.
everything I did for the last second year of the house. Like, what am I doing? How do we move people into this? So Rising Tides, we're now working on our second home, and I've just started mentoring the three men 2 weeks ago who are going to move in the middle of May. So I now have an onboarding process instead of just moving
Beautiful.
them in, like really connecting. So I'm moving and walking with them. Um, but really, it's you get through rehab, biblical rehab, you get through transition, And then you get out in the and you're kind of by yourself. There's nothing after that. Or there is, and you have to share a bedroom. And it's like, well, let's give some dignity back to these men with a little bit more freedom, but so some accountability. Just like I have a lot of accountability. I have a bride, I have 6 children, and 4 grandchildren. So a lot, and 2 son-in-laws and a daughter-in-law. That's a lot of accountability. You know what I'm saying? So we like to get these men, get them into home. They have their own room. They live together, but we meet with them every week. We have text
So they
messages.
live in a
There's
shared
all
housing, but they have their own room, they have their own personal space, they share kitchen, laundry, and common area. Perfect.
everything's fully furnished. All the bills are loaded into one, so they budget every week.
Hmm.
So it's one bill. You don't have to stress out about heating going to go up or down. Like we try and think about all the things that can hit somebody's nervous system and create the smoothest runway as possible.
Yeah, so you're preventing relapse. You're providing all of the supports to keep them focused until they're strong enough to start managing life again on their own.
Well, they are managing their lives. These are actually homes for life. It's kind of one of my mottos. If they wanted to stay till the day they die in the home, our board has worked it out that we will keep that home all the way through
What if
until.
they have spouses? What about the ones in
See,
relationship?
we don't have anything for that yet.
Okay.
We're doing single
Single
men,
men. Okay.
so that single men don't become isolated.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
these single men can leave later on and go on and build their own life and their
sure,
own family.
yes,
But what you're
absolutely.
providing is single men support and mentorship so they can now move into the rhythm of life after addiction.
That's right.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. So what's your goal? Tell us a little bit about what your vision, what do you see happening with this mentorship program? What's the big dream?
So I don't know. I'm kind of a fall down the rabbit hole. What God opens the door, He opens the door. Um, he's been placing on my heart for us to have 30 homes, 3 to 4 bedrooms, so roughly 90 to 100 men, and within the next 5 years. And but all of those men are mentoring other men.
Beautiful.
So if there's so let's say 90 men in mentorship in our mentorship homes, and we've got people mentoring them, then they are in turn mentoring
Sharing others.
90 others. And that is that discipleship model that changed my life.
Hmm.
You know,
Beautiful.
someone stepped into the gap with me, and his name was Mike Bowden, and he changed my life by just pointing me to Christ, pointing me to Christ, pointing me to Christ.
Hmm.
And that's what we're constantly wanting to do.
This is such a beautiful story because for those people who think I can do it alone, I don't need anybody, that is just fallacy. We all need somebody. That's why mentorship and coaching is so valuable, because when you don't have enough energy to believe in yourself, your mentor, your coach can believe in you enough until you have strength enough to grab that belief from them and run with it. And I think that's where most people get stuck. They want to do it all on their own. They want to do it in whether it's in their career, whether it's in their work, whether it's in their marriage, whether it's going through getting out of recovery. What do you do? The friends you had are living the same life. You can't go back to them. So it's a beautiful process of showing how that coaching, that mentorship support works to help you to start getting that belief. And even your own testimony of someone stepping along and pointing you in the right direction is a beautiful testimony of how we can be there for others as they rewire for resilience, because it's hard to rewire for resilience on your own. You need the social network, you need the support, you need the environment, all of those pieces. And I started off telling you about our 9 dimensions. So we do the spiritual, social, emotional, we do the occupational, intellectual, we do environmental, financial, physical, and interpersonal. So the interpersonal is that relational piece, because we need all of those elements to rewire. If you rewire just one part, well, you can't drive a car in just 2 wheels. You need all four. You need all four working.
These are tires. Yeah, I love that. Yeah.
You did.
And the thing about resilience is it's not something like if you've been addiction. So I told my guys after 2 years, I'm like, so when someone asks you, are you a recovering addict? What do you say? And you say, yeah. They say, oh, I said, yeah, I'm a recovering addict. I said, no, no, you're recovered. It's been 2 years. That's in the back window. That's your old identity. Your new identity is I am a child of God, created for purpose.
Absolutely. A new
And
man in Christ.
move into a new identity.
New
And so I
identity.
love talking to them about that. But also, mentorship and resilience. Like, here's the thing: when you can admit that your life's not perfect. Like, I've got a 17-year-old son who lives a mile and a half away with my farmer, and I've seen him twice, and it'll be 3 years in August. He's really pulled away from me, and it hurts because of the choices I made in the past. And he made a move last week to apologize and move back, but he's kind of pulling back again. And it's this process, but I'm able to share that with the guys and say, look, I'm 15 years into this thing. I'm recovered. There's no going back. I know, like Neo, what's down that road. I'm
Hmm.
not going down that road. But that doesn't mean I'm not going to go through hard things.
Absolutely. You know,
And
that is so important, Steve. I think this is a point we need to emphasize for our audience. Most people think that when you recover, the consequences of the choices you make will live with you for the rest of your life. So you need strength to face that and not fall back. The strength to say, that's the consequences of who I used to be, but now it's visiting me, but I'm a stronger person. I can do. And that's what you just said. It's like this is a consequence of the man I used to be, affecting this relationship, affecting this son. And I have to face that and acknowledge that's the consequences. So yes, I'm forgiven. Yes, I've moved on. Yes, I've recovered, but the consequences are always going to be there. I just need to move every day into recognizing that that's the past. I am not going back there because I don't want to repeat that. I love it. Love it.
yeah, and the big part about that is too, like, that's how you become unbreakable. You're a new creation in Christ, but you also become resilient by owning your past.
Yes. Being
The
accountable.
more you
Yes.
own it, the more you 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 own it. You just then you start to, because I'll tell you what, there's no one more powerful than someone who's recovered in Christ from addiction.
Mhm.
Like, I love those people, because you know what, you can we worship different, we serve different, we think different. There is not a box you're going to put me in, because I put myself in a box for way too long. And I just think there's so much strength in those who are ready to recover, want to recover, are recovering, and are stepping from redemption to recovery into resilience. Like, when you step
Beautiful.
through that pipeline, you
Mhm.
find that purpose and you just go.
You do.
You
And you
go.
know what it's like on the other side. So you don't want to go back there. And too often people fall back into addiction not because they really want to, it's because they don't have the structure to move forward, and they have not developed the emotional self mastery to identify the consequences, own it, and say, that's what I used to do, this is the damage I have done, I don't want to do anymore. So that self mastery to not be broken by the past, but to
Mm,
recognize it and learn from it and grow from it, that growth mindset, to say, this is the damage I created in that old self, but now with my new self, I still have to own it without being broken. And that's where I find sometimes the fragility can be a setback. In when we talk about rewiring, it's that new person, it's that transformation into the new you. Because when we look at the single loop, double loop, the agris work in single loop, double loop, and triple loop learning, single loop is like, there's a problem, let's fix it. Double loop is like, oh, how did this problem happen? We're going to the triple loop, and we say, who do I need to become? This is where the transformation happens, right? Who do I need to become to address this, to see this. And as a result of this, how can I be my next best self? And I think that's what you're showing with that rewiring for resilience is we're not going to stay in the same mindset, blaming myself, feeling sorry for myself, needing something just to get over the pain, but really say, this is painful, but
Mm,
it's past consequences that I don't want to repeat. I recognize the pain, and even your story you share of crying with your daughter and being able to articulate, I remember the damage that I caused. I remember the pain that it caused me. I'm so glad to be here now,
mm,
not
yeah,
causing any more pain. That's beautiful.
yeah. I think there's a lot of choices are made by all of us because it's familiar.
Yes.
We understand the outcome, but when we can get um, addicted to faith that is an unpredictable outcome,
Mm-hmm.
which is like, I just want to walk in faith. I want to move into this new, I don't know how it's going to work out.
Mm-hmm.
I actually have no clue how this is going to work out, but I'm going to stick to this process
Yeah.
and,
Regardless.
and grow and grow and grow. And, but there, there's times when you're like, was it easier when I knew what the outcome was going to be?
Did you really even know? Did you really? Do
Oh,
we
you convince
ever
yourself
know?
you did. But you convince yourself you did.
Exactly. We're just fooling ourselves into thinking we know. We really don't know. We never ever know. It's all those false belief and assumptions we make, right?
The only thing that was guaranteed was, you'd numb the pain and the problem would still be
Exactly.
there.
Exactly.
You know,
Exactly.
so
Hmm.
yeah, I think there's a huge case for getting inquisitive of what life can be.
Hmm. Being curious for life. Yes, absolutely. So, Steve, someone is looking right now. They love your story. Where can they get in touch with you? They want to learn more. How can they get a hold of you?
Yeah, so I was very blessed when our first granddaughter came along, March 17th, 3 years ago. Eden. They made my grandpa named Moby after the book Moby Dick because, it was better Moby. I'm glad it was Moby and not the latter, right? But so I took my middle name out and put Steve Moby Leitch because I'm the swimmer. And there is only one Steve Moby Leitch on the entire intraweb, internet, if whatever you want to call it. So I'm really easy to find. But stevemobyleetch.com, our website, my new website's actually going live. But you can find me easily on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. If you want coaching, if you want prayer, if you just want someone to pray with you, shoot me a message. I will absolutely pray with you. If you're needing connected to somebody in your area, I'll look up. I'll make calls. I'll see what we can do to find out who's in that area.
Hmm.
But don't think that you have to stay stuck.
Yes. Or alone. Not that you're alone, right? That person alone.
You're
They're not
not
in your
alone.
corner, right?
You're not alone.
Yeah.
You're not alone. I
Yeah.
mean, even when I'm middle of the ocean, like in a couple of weeks, I'm going to be middle of the ocean again, and I won't be alone because my wife's on the boat. We've got Herschel filming. We've got the pilot. I've actually got two other guys who are swimming the same time as me on this one. But you're just never alone. So don't be fooled for that lie.
Steve, I
Reframe it.
want to, I'm going to be the advocate for the person who's there. Say, yes, you can be alone. I am alone right now. I have nobody. I feel like I'm alone. What would you say to that person right now?
The bravest thing you can do is to reach out, and it's going to be really brave. And if you truly feel like alone, find that one person that that you can call. And if you don't have that person, message me. Literally message me. I will pray with you. I'll talk with you, and we will get you connected somehow. But it's going to take guts. And I do know that there's people who feel alone. I tell you what, I have been in rooms of hundreds of people and felt completely alone.
Yeah. It's an epidemic
It's, you know,
and it's the lie of the enemy. So
it is a lie of the enemy,
we have to
and
counter that, right? With action, reaching out. I love that. Steve,
Yeah, that's
thank
the
you
smallest
so
one.
much for being here. What is your
Thank
last
you.
message to the audience? So you've told us where we can find you. Tell us a little bit about your next swim coming up. When is it? Where can we see it? And is there a way for people to follow it on social media? Like what is going on? Tell us the juicy details.
Yeah, the juicy details. We fly to Spain next Wednesday, so we'll be in Malaga, Spain for Good Friday. On Easter Sunday, we're going to be in Gibraltar, and then sometime after Easter Sunday, we'll be swimming from Europe to Africa, to basically Spain to Morocco. And I have a WhatsApp, so if you find me on, I'll be posting it on my Facebook page, be posting on LinkedIn. Again, Steve Moby Leitch, real easy to find. But here's my message. God created you for a purpose. Do not miss it. As one of my dad's favorite lines, I have completely plagiarized it. I put it on the front of my book as a testament to him. And I just believe that when you find out why you are created and you realize that he only created one of you, then you can step into purpose.
It's
So
amazing.
I'm
Amazing, Steve.
excited.
Yes, excited. I want to wish you well on your swim.
Thank you.
I know it takes a lot of stamina and a lot of preparation mentally, of course, and spiritually to and physically to get you going, but it takes that whole person. Sending lots of positive goodwill, may reach your goals and be successful and keep doing what you're doing. Let's stay in touch, and those of you who are watching, thank you for being here. This is the Resilience Catalyst Show, and we make resilience real,
Mm.
practical, and attainable. So, Steve, thank you for being here, and thank you for watching. Stay tuned for the next episode, and we'll see you then.